everyone, and welcome back to Cram Farms. It's almost time to plant potatoes, and I'm going to show you a really easy way to get your seed potatoes ready for planting without spending a lot of money buying packs of seed potatoes at the store. So you can buy seed potatoes from places like Johnny Seeds or your Tractor Supplies and places. They will have seed potatoes that are ready to go straight into the ground. But if you don't want to do that, a cheaper way is to do your own seed potatoes at home. Now all you're going to need is some organic potatoes to do this. You want organic because you don't want a potato that has been sprayed with something that will keep it from sprouting. So if you get just a regular potato at the store and it's not organic, they have sprayed them with a substance that will keep them from sprouting. So you'll see how these are starting to sprout. That's what you need to grow a potato. So stores, if you're not getting an organic potato, have sprayed them because they don't want their potatoes sprouting in the store. So all I did was buy a couple of bags of organic potatoes from the store, and then I let them sit in a cool, dark place, and they started to sprout on their own. Now, this didn't take long at all, just a couple of weeks actually. And now you'll see I have plenty of sprouts on these potatoes. And now I'm going to show you how we will cut them up and get them ready to plant. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you have about 2 eyes on each potato. So looking at this potato first, you'll see that we have a nice little sprout here, one here, and one on this back side. Now if you leave it long enough, these other places, the other eyes, and you'll see right there even, should start to sprout also. So we're gonna cut the potato so that we have only about 2 in each spot. So I'm going to just cut a chunk off here, like this. So we have those 2 on there. And then I'm just gonna sit this out and let this dry for like 2 or 3 days, and then we're gonna plant it in the ground. And if you notice, still on the other one now, I still have 2 other eyes, so I can also plant this one. So same thing on this one, I have like 4 different little sprouts coming out. So I'm gonna cut this in a way that I can still plant the other 2. So here I have 2. I'll let that dry, and then we have 2 more on this piece. So the reason you're going to let them sit is because you don't want this wet part going into the ground. You can hear Buttercup and Belle talking back and forth. So we're just gonna let this dry so it'll kind of start to callus over before we go and plant it. Now, some of my potatoes are kind of small and they only have the 2 sprouts on those. So we'll actually just plant this in the ground just like this. Same thing with this one. It only has 2 on it. There really isn't anything else in this potato. Well, this would probably start to sprout. Actually, these eyes will eventually. But because we're going ahead and putting them in the ground now, and we want our potatoes to start growing because it's the time for them to grow, we won't wait for those. We'll just go ahead and stick this whole thing in the ground. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to actually plant them. Alright, so just a couple of days ago, I showed you how I sliced up the potatoes and then I let them sit for about 2 to 3 days. Mine actually only sat 2 days and they're dry enough. And now we're going to go ahead and plant them in this raised bed. Now before I put them in the dirt, we have put some wood ash on top here because it's really good for the potatoes to have in the soil. So we're going to kind of rake that into the soil as we make up our little rows and before we put our potatoes in. Now that everything is kind of cleaned up and smoothed out, I'm ready to dig my little trenches to put my potatoes in. I'm using my shovel as my spacing tool here. So between my rows, I'm just kind of laying it down and then that's where my next trench will start. Thanks. Huh? Thank you. My trenches are now dug, and you want to plant your potatoes about 12 inches apart in the rows. And then when you space them out in here, we're going to space them about a foot apart also. So now we're going to start just laying them in the trenches. When you're planting your potatoes, you always want to plant them with the eyes pointing up. And my mom used to always say, you plant them so they can see their way out of the ground.
Here.
So you're gonna plant this so that the eye is facing up, so that they can find their way out of the soil. And then we're just gonna cover them up with the dirt. And don't think that the rest of the space is not gonna be used. I'm gonna tell you what else you can do there too. And every time I do a video for you all lately, it starts to rain. So it's really that easy. You just brush the soil back over that you dug up. See how easy that was? Now the space between the rows, so if my potatoes are planted here, the space between them, so I have potatoes here and I have a row of potatoes here. The space between them is excellent for planting something that will grow above the ground. And so I'm actually gonna seed some lettuce and spinach in between these, but I'm gonna wait a couple weeks because I already have lettuce and spinach in other beds. So if I wait a couple of weeks and then start this, I'll have what's called succession planting. And so my lettuce and spinach will be growing at different times than the lettuce and spinach that's planted in that bed. That way we can have a continual harvest of greens. So I hope this showed you how easy it is to plant potatoes. I'm gonna do another bed of potatoes now because we have 60 we're gonna try to plant. And average for a family, you wanna plant, if you want potatoes for an entire year, somewhere between 12 and 18 plants per person. Now if you eat more potatoes or less potatoes during the year, that'll play into how many you plant. And in that calculation, I'm calculating both sweet potatoes and white potatoes. So I'm actually gonna plant both sweet potatoes and white potatoes, but it's not time for sweet potatoes yet. We'll do those like towards the end of May once the soil warms up some. So thanks for joining us on this potato, I almost said pumpkin. It's not pumpkin season yet. Thanks for joining us on this potato planting day. The rain is starting to come down now, so we're gonna be able to plant. It's gonna water our beds for us. Don't forget to hit the like button, give our video a thumbs up please, and please subscribe to our channel. We're still trying to grow that, so we'd love for you all to join us as we keep showing you how to plant more food and how to live more sustainably. We love that you all are following along on our journey. It's not always easy, but with kids with special needs, we try to do everything so that they can access it and they can be a part of the homestead as well, which is another reason our raised beds are high enough to where Riley can get up to them in his wheelchair. So we'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.
Let's check on these lettuce.
Do you see the lettuce?
Right there?
Yeah. Are we gonna eat it in salads?
Yeah.
You like a salad, don't you?
Yeah. It raining, so I better get inside.
All right. Tell everybody bye.